Hello, everybody.
I've been playing with no sound.
Yeah.
Hang on.
The tab audio wasn't shared, maybe, or something.
Let me. How's this?
I still don't hear anything.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to figure that one out. It's a freedom fighter song, and it's very good. It's about space lasers, satellites, and I enjoyed it. But we will work on that issue.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, y'all. I was excited to share it.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Can y'all hear me now? At least you got a space laser to see right behind me.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to go back to the start of chapter 2. We didn't get too far into it. And I don't have that long before I got to start more prep stuff. So. Oh, I got to share. How are y'all doing today? Everybody good? Everybody have a good night's sleep?
I had a fantastic night's sleep.
Oh, no, Lola. I'm always having ECUs.
Ants.
Ants.
That's not good.
I got ants in my pants.
Hi, Lola.
Lola, she was a show.
See, I always think of L-O-L-A Lola.
Ah, that's another good one.
Yeah.
My mom used to play the LPs of Barry Manilow.
Oh,
Barry
yeah.
Manilow, Tom Jones.
Yep.
So I found my sister hates Michael McDonald and like the Doobie Brothers and Steely Dan. So I found a Steely Dan 45 and sent it to her yesterday. And her husband just kept
Nice.
playing it. Such a good big brother.
Nice.
She was texting me. Oh,
We,
man.
my dad took us to a junkyard one time, and they had like this $25 all you can carry thing. And my brother and I loved to go to junkyards so we could pick through the cars and find stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one car that had this huge box of records and stuff. And we had gotten a record player at a garage sale. And my brother and I were super excited to like see all those records. And my dad put them in his carry box and carried them all out with all the car parts and stuff. And so we didn't have to pay for it really. It was
Oh,
it was
man,
fun.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Uh,
There were a
um,
bunch of
hey,
old
everybody.
Elvis records and stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. I was listening to the Honeysuckle Rose double LP album yesterday. Oh, I knew you need to throw a bomb in there. A pest bomb, not a bomb. Nobody cancel me.
And take away any food sources because that's how you get ants.
Well, what if they're eating her pants?
True. Hey, Jicky.
My rats. Hey, Jicky. Hey, everyone. So we're gonna get back into this. Get out of the crazy drama stuff for a moment. Hopefully, a long moment.
Yeah.
And get back into the stuff we're here for. So
Yeah.
I appreciate all of y'all being here. And if you can, hit the like, subscribe, notification, share. Let's get some info out there. Your trailer's too small to bomb. But as long as it's not spiders. Groovy.
Hi, Groovy. I'm feeling good today, Jicky. Yeah, thank you. I slept really well last night, so.
I'm living in my own private Idaho. Sorry. Every time he calls me Fred, it just.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. One God, chapter 2. You love spiders? My daughters do too. I was run over. Me and my dad were run over by like I don't know how many. But we saw the floor under a house moving towards us, and it was
That's
all
my
spiders.
nightmare.
Yeah. So my middle daughter sent a picture of at her house of a spider with all the babies on its back.
Oh,
So,
yeah, I've seen those.
So, thank you, Jicky. Thank you.
Yeah,
All
thank
right.
you.
So there must have been a lot that under there like that.
Ugh.
Me and my dad both now cringe at any sign of spider.
Mm-hmm.
Except Spider Dog.
Yeah, Spider Dog's cool.
Yeah. He
Makes
couldn't
me
stick
laugh.
around. So, all right. One God. In 742 BCE, a member of the Judean royal family had a vision of Yahweh in the temple which King Solomon had built in Jerusalem. It was an anxious time for the people of Israel. King Uzziah of Judah had died that year and was succeeded by his son Ahaz, who would encourage his subjects to worship pagan gods alongside Yahweh. Remember, we already read this, but I just wanted to kind of tickle the memory cells. The northern king of Israel was in a state of near anarchy, like LA, I guess. The death of Jeroboam II, 5 kings had sat on the throne between 746 and 736. While King Tiglath-Pileser III, king of Assyria, looked hungrily at their lands, which he was anxious to add to his expanding empire. In 722, his successor, King Sargon II, would conquer the northern kingdom and deport the population. The 10 northern tribes of Israel were forced to assimilate and disappear from history. While the little kingdom of Judah feared for its own survival, as Isaiah prayed in the temple shortly after King Uzziah's death, he was probably full of foreboding. At the same time, he may have been uncomfortably aware of the inappropriateness of the lavish temple ceremonial. Isaiah may have been a member of the ruling class, but he had populist and democratic views and was highly sensitive to the plight of the poor. As the incense filled the sanctuary before the Holy of Holies and the place reeked with the blood of sacrificial animals, he may have feared that the religion of Israel had lost its integrity and inner meaning. Suddenly, he seemed to see Yahweh himself sitting on his throne in heaven, directly above the temple, which was the replica of his celestial court on earth. Yahweh's train filled the sanctuary, and he was attended by 2 seraphs, who covered their faces with their wings, lest they look upon his face. They cried out one to another, and Angel Gamer, antiphonally. Does that sound right? Antiphonally.
Sorry, I was muted.
Oh,
Antiphonally. Yeah, that sounds right.
I don't know what that means, so let me look it up. I'm not going to put out a word that I don't know. Just remember, this was written by a philosophy professor. In traditional Western Christian liturgy, of a short sentence or its musical setting, sung, recited, or played alternately by 2 groups. Okay. So they were 2 angels singing "Holy, Holy, Holy is Yahweh."
Yeah.
I remember the verse now. So, Yahweh Sabaoth, which is Sabaoth is Baoth, is a his glory fills the whole earth. At the sound of their voices, the whole temple seemed to shake on its foundation and was filled with smoke, enveloping Yahweh in an impenetrable cloud similar to the cloud and smoke that had hidden him from Moses on Mount Sinai. When we use the word holy today, we usually refer to a state of moral excellence. So I want to get back to Sabaoth because I think that's another god. Okay, the Sabaoth are the hosts of heaven. Okay. Sorry. Brain injuries. I lost any recountants of Hebrew. I've tried
The
to
hosts of
relearn.
heaven are they another part of another type of angels?
They're another level of angel. You know,
Okay.
there's there, you have the seraphim and you have the
Cherubim and
archangels,
yeah,
cherubims.
archangel.
Yeah. So the hosts of heaven would be more than likely all of them combined.
Yeah.
I don't want to be told.
That would be interesting
Hosts,
to get into sometime too, is the
yeah.
different angels and stuff.
Okay, refers to main concepts in the Bible: heavenly bodies and angels, spiritual beings. So it's the whole
Okay.
host.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sing songy. Yes, thank you, Lola. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like row, row, row your boat. That would have been fun. I'm sorry. That would have been, it's probably disrespectful on my part, but it would have been funny. The whole enchilada. So, excellent. So the Hebrew word kadosh, however, has nothing to do with morality as such, but means otherness. A radical separation, the apparition of Yahweh on Mount Sinai had emphasized the immense gulf that had suddenly yawned between man and the divine world. Now the seraphs were crying, Yahweh is other, other, other. Isaiah had experienced that sense of the numinous which has periodically descended upon men and women and filled them with fascination and dread. In his classic book, The Idea of the Holy, Rudolf Otto described this fearful experience of transcendent reality as mysterium terrible et fascinans. It is terrible because it comes as a profound shock that severs us from the consolations of normality and fascinans. Because what's a fascinan? Sorry, y'all, on the fly. I've read this book like 50 times. I should remember this stuff. Describing alluring, charming, and fascinating aspect of the numinous experience. So that whole experience is the everything
Yeah.
that he was experiencing. I can't imagine experiencing that God has become other to us. He has othered himself from us because of the gross sacrifice that was going on. Uzziah was having a temple prostitutes there. It was just it was a bad time. And like Isaiah was saying, he thought that the Jewish religion had lost its way and just became totally reprobate at that time.
Right.
So, because paradoxically, it exerts an irresistible attraction. Oh, I could have read on and there would have been the definition, right? There's nothing rational about this overpowering experience, which Otto compares to that of music or to the erotic. The emotions it engenders cannot adequately be expressed in words or concepts. Indeed, the sense of the holy other, so not holy as in holy, but holy as in the whole, cannot even be said to exist because it has no place in our normal scheme. So it's outside the universe. It's somewhere between the veil of whatever you believe, right? It's from the veil of reality to the other. Of reality. The new Yahweh of the axial age was still the God of the armies, Sabaoth, but was no longer a mere god of war, nor was he simply a tribal deity who was passionately biased in favor of Israel. His glory was no longer confined to the promised land, but filled the whole earth. Isaiah was no Buddha, experiencing an enlightenment that brought tranquility and bliss. He had not become the perfected teacher of men. Instead, he was filled with mortal terror, crying aloud, "What a wretched state I am in! I am lost, for I am a man of unclean lips, and I live among a people of unclean lips. And my eyes have looked at the King, Yahweh, Yahweh Sabaoth, overcoming by the transcendent holiness of Yahweh. He was conscious only of his own inadequacy and ritual impurity. Unlike the Buddha or yogi, he had not prepared himself for this experience by a series of spiritual exercises. It had come upon him out of the blue, and he was completely shaken by its devastating impact. That's something that I've always questioned, and I've always asked my dad about, as far as it, like Christianity. And I believe there's some preparation if you pray your 3 times a day, and you, unlike me, keep the Sabbath and keep it holy. But there's really no meditations. You figure out how to pray on your own. There's no structured way to deal with this stuff, right? It just
Right.
hit people out of the blue, just like a rail car, right? Can't imagine that that your whole concept just being shattered in the moment.
Right.
So one of the seraphs flew toward him with a live coal and purified his lips, ouch, so that they could utter the word of God. Many of the prophets were either unwilling to speak on God's behalf or unable to do so. When God had called Moses prototype of all prophets from the burning bush and commanded him to be his messenger to Pharaoh and the children of Israel, Moses had protested that he was not able to speak well. God had made allowances for this impediment and permitted his brother Aaron to speak in Moses' stead. This regular motive in the stories of prophetic vocations symbolized the difficulty of speaking God's word.
So the coal on the lips is a
Purifying fire.
biblical equivalent of washing your mouth off with soap.
I guess so. I mean, he used the words to express that his mouth was unclean, and then the seraphs, bring a bright coal to purify his lips. I mean, that ouch. Let's see, Jicky says, I cannot even understand how he could have felt if all his frames of reality was shattered. Yeah, just in an instant, right?
Right.
Oh, man, it gives me chills. I literally have chills right now just thinking about it.
Yeah.
And then to go on to speak God's words when the prophet of all prophets couldn't even speak God's words. He had to have his brother speaking for him. But coming up, dual religious, is that how you would say it? Hearing the stories, it was always that Moses had a speech impediment, that he like stuttered or something, which is always the reason. Paul as well, right? Well, Paul was supposed to be the Christian prototype of Moses, right? He's the Christian Moses,
right?
Yeah. So, I mean, if they're portrayed the same way, I have a lot of theory. We should do a series on Paul theories. Actually, quite competitive. because his impediment kept him from keeping the law. Just think about that. So it was a sin.
Yeah.
So, you know, just something to put in y'all's hat to think about and study if you want. If anybody who chooses, I'm not giving out homework. The prophets were not eager to proclaim the divine message and were reluctant to undertake a mission of great strain and anguish. Remember, sometimes you're going to speak against the king of Israel and the leaders, and you're going to rebuke them, and you know, David's going to get told about his sin, and fortunately, it breaks his heart, and he prostrates himself before God and asks for forgiveness. So, and remember that the sin that before the commandments were given, the sin that gets passed down to the third and fourth generations is idolatry, and that's what they were doing in the temple at the time. So you also have that to think about. Let's see. The transformation of Israel's God into a symbol of transcendent power would not be a calm, serene process, but attended with pain and struggle. Hindus would never have described Brahman as a great king because their God could not be described in such human terms. We must be careful not to interpret the story of Isaiah's vision too literally. It is an attempt to describe the indescribable, and Isaiah reverts instinctively to the mythological traditions of his people and give his audience some idea of what happened to him. The Psalms often describe Yahweh enthroned in his temple as king, just as Bethel, Marduk, and Dagon, the gods of their neighbors, presided as monarchs in their rather similar temples. So my thoughts on this is there were the local gods, right? Oh man, I wish I could remember the name of that documentary. It's a very long documentary. It's about it's on the great courses, but it's about Greek mythology and actually how the gods divided their localities up in Greece and where they wanted to be. And that's a lot of what this sounds like. And even if you go back to Exodus, when God says, "You shall have no other gods before me," Baal and Marduk were all from the cult of Bethel. This is me going. This is me going from my faith to a theological study hat. I'm not renouncing my faith here, but the cult of Bethel, right? And
the historical context, and
but yeah, because it had to come from somewhere, right?
Exactly.
It just didn't happen, and then you had the prophet coming to Abraham, the priest of the Most High. What was it? Was it El Shaddai, or I can't remember, of the order of Melchizedek anyway, and I can't remember which El it was. So you have El Shaddai, Elohim. So these are all El cult names, right? Baal was one of El's sons. So was Marduk. So I mean, just keep that in mind that this is a takeover by a stronger God. Think about it secularly, not faithfully, I guess I should say. The way it sounds to me in the historical context is a more powerful God within the cult of El said, nah, I'm taking the reins and this is how it's going to be. So I think that's why there was so much conflict in the Old Testament, is those fights. So anyway, that's just my kind of little side romp there. So beneath the mythological imagery, however, a quiet, distinctive conception of the ultimate reality was beginning to emerge in Israel. The experience with this God is an encounter with a person. Despite his terrifying otherness, Yahweh can speak and Isaiah can answer. Again, this would have been inconceivable to the sages of the Upanishads, since the idea of having a dialogue or meeting with Brahman Atman would be inappropriately anthropomorphic. Yahweh asked, "Whom shall I send? Who will be our messenger?" And like Moses before him, Isaiah immediately replied, "Here am I." Well, always jump back to the King James. "Here I am. Hineni, send me." The point of this vision was not to enlighten the prophet, but to give him the practical job to do. Primarily, the prophet is one who stands in God's presence. But this experience of transcendence results not in the imparting of knowledge, as in Buddhism, but in action. The prophet will not be characterized by mystical illumination, but by obedience. As one might expect, the message is never easy. With typical Semitic paradox, Yahweh told Isaiah that the people would not accept it. He must not be dismayed. And when they reject God's words, go and say to his people, "Hear and hear again, but do not understand. See and see again, but do not perceive." 700 years later, Jesus would quote these words when people refused to hear his equally tough message. Humankind cannot bear very much reality. The Israelites of Isaiah's day were on the brink of war and extinction, and Yahweh had no cheerful message for them. Their cities would be devastated, the countryside ravaged, and the houses emptied of their inhabitants. Isaiah would live to see the destruction of the northern kingdom in 722 and the deportation of 10 tribes. In 701, Sennacherib would invade Judah with a vast Assyrian army, lay siege to 46 of its cities and fortresses, impale the defending officers on poles, deport about 2,000 people, and imprison the Jewish king in Jerusalem, like a bird in a cage. Isaiah had the thankless task of warning the people of these impending catastrophes. There will be great emptiness in the country, and though a tenth of the people remain, it will be stripped like a terebinth, of which once fell only the stalk remains. So true. It would have not been difficult for any astute political observer to foresee these catastrophes. What was chillingly original in Isaiah's message was his analysis of the situation. The old partisan God of Moses would have cast Assyria in the role of the enemy. The God of Isaiah saw Assyria as his instrument. It was not Sargon II or Sennacherib who would drive the Israelites into exile and devastate the country. It is Yahweh who drives the people out. You want to read the next little bit, Angel?
Yeah. This was a constant theme in the message of the prophets of the axial age. The God of Israel had originally distinguished himself from the pagan deities by revealing himself in concrete.
I was trying to do something. concrete current.
concrete current events, not simply in mythology and liturgy. Now the new prophets insisted political catastrophe as well as victory revealed the God who was becoming the Lord and master of history. He had all the nations in his pocket.
Okay.
Assyria would come to grief in its turn simply because its kings had not realized that they were only tools in the hand of being greater than themselves. Since Yahweh had foretold the ultimate destruction of Assyria, there was a distant hope for the future, but no Israelite would have wanted to hear that his own people had brought political destruction upon its own head by its short-sighted policies and exploitative behavior. Nobody would have been happy to hear that Yahweh had masterminded the successful Assyrian campaigns of 722 and 701, just as he had captained the armies of Joshua, Gideon, and King David. What did he think he was doing with the nation that was supposed to be his chosen people? There was no wish fulfillment in Isaiah's depiction of Yahweh. Instead of offering the people a panacea, Yahweh was being used to make people confront unwelcome reality. Instead of taking refuge in the old cultic observances which projected people back into mythical time, prophets like Isaiah were trying to make their countrymen look the actual events of history in the face and accept them as a terrifying dialogue with their God.
I'll take it.
Okay.
But I wanted to, because I wanted to give the definition or something.
Yeah. I did look up. So the highest God was El Elyon.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep. So he probably just said, all my kids are being little brats, so I'm gonna just take it over by myself.
Right.
That's my theory, and that became who was talking to Moses and the Israelites. So I wanted to define the axial age as a period between 800 and 300 BCE. So that's the axial age right there. Just kind of like, Bronze Age or whatever, the axial. So, let's see. Excuse me. What was on the what else? During the campaigns of, because Yahweh approved this, he actually anointed the kings of Assyria and Babylon. They were actually, since they were anointed, they were what we would think of as a Messiah, right? They were there. They were anointed by God to do a thing, and that thing was to straighten Israel's attitude out. When Todd says God told Israel we were that they're stubborn, bullheaded nation, that's not a misnomer.
Right.
But you also have to look at add it in historical context as to why. So,
right.
Anyway, I won't get into politics, but you can always question Israel. That's not a bad thing. That is a very good.
Right. Sometimes nations have bad leaders, and
Yes,
you have to question their actions.
absolutely. So anyway, I was just kind of pushing it close there. But anyway, while the God of Moses had been a triumphalist, the God of Isaiah was full of sorrow. The prophecy, as it had come down to us, begins with a lament that is highly unflattering to the people of the covenant. The ox and the ass know their owners, but Israel knows nothing. My people understand nothing. Yahweh was utterly revolted by the animal sacrifices in the temple, sickened by the fat of calves, blood of bulls and goats, and the reeking blood that smoked from the holocausts of the fires. He could not bear their festivals, New Year's ceremonies, and pilgrimages. This would have shocked Isaiah's audience. In the Middle East, these cultic celebrations were of the essence of religion. The pagan gods depended upon the ceremonies to renew their depleted energies. Their prestige depended on, in part, upon the magnificence of their temples. So, does anybody know what the prestige really is? The prestige is the revealing. Is prestige is the final part of a magician's magic trick, right?
Right.
Now, Yahweh was actually. It's funny. Sam Hyde was just saying that. A movie about magic. Well, exactly, because he was trying to find the ultimate prestige. You're absolutely right. Was actually saying that these things were utterly meaningless. So this is where we're starting to get into where God is like, no, these sacrifices are wrong. I he I don't know if he repented of, you know, how he repented of himself of making man and destroyed man. I think that was one reason for destroying the temple. There was only supposed to be sacrifice for unintentional sin. The sacrifice shouldn't have gone on and on and on and corrupted the temple. God's like, what I wanted was you to come to me with a broken heart for the sins you know you committed. So there's that. Otherwise, I'm going to start preaching. So I don't know what y'all want me to put a rabbi hat on. So, like other sages and philosophers in the Okumene, Isaiah felt that the exterior observance was not enough. Israelites must discover the inner meaning of their religion. Yahweh wanted compassion rather than sacrifice. You must multiply your prayers. I shall not listen. Let's see. I shall not listen. Should be when your hands are covered with blood. Wash, make yourselves clean. Take your wrongdoing out of my sight. Cease to do evil. So now, I mean, there is a ritual washing of hands and first thing
Right.
first thing before you pray. So, Presty. Thank you, Mrs. Metcalf. Thank you. Boats and hoes. Boats and hoes. Oh, prestige. Oh man, those two together.
Oh yeah, they're so good together.
Yeah. Okay. Take your wrongdoing out of my sight. Cease to do evil. Learn to do good. Search for justice. Help the oppressed. So here's where he's reminding us that we're to be a light to the world. And this is not in the lefty sense, but social justice should be at the top of your priority list.
Right.
that's why when you tithe, it's supposed to go to charity and uh, the widow, the orphan, and that's what you're actually supposed to do with your tithe directly,
Yeah, and
not through a church.
right, tithing to a church nowadays, you see
Yeah.
all the stuff that's happening in the churches. You can't trust them with your money.
That and multiple, G5s. I need a Global Express,
Yeah.
$60 million airplanes that cost. When I was flying around, it was like it was $250,000 a year for each pilot. It was $6,000 an hour to operate the plane. So
Wow.
yeah. Yeah, Chicky, don't be fake. Look in the mirror and change yourself. Yeah.
Exactly.
So help the oppressed, be just to the orphan, plead for the widow. The prophets had discovered for themselves the overriding duty of compassion, which would become the hallmark of all the major religions formed in the axial age. The new ideologies that were developing in the Okumene during this period all insisted that the test of authenticity was that religious experience. Sorry, that wasn't. But integrated successfully with daily life. So instead of spending all this time in the temple and doing like Jicky said, these outward things, you should be out there doing for others. It was no longer sufficient to confine observance to the temple and the extra temporal world of myth. After enlightenment, a man or woman must return to the marketplace and practice compassion for all living beings. The social idea of the prophets had been implicit in the cult of Yahweh since Sinai. The story of the Exodus had stressed that God was on the side of the weak and the oppressed. And you can see this in the Christian Bible and in the Hebrew Bible. Heck, you can see it in other religions, right? You can see it in Buddhism, Hinduism. That's where you're supposed to focus yourself.
Right.
But these were formed in the axial age. Besides Hinduism, Hinduism's a lot older. The axial age, if I'm not mistaken. I only read the Bhagavad Gita once, so.
Oh, I never read it.
Let's see. God was on the side. The difference was that now Israelites themselves were castigated as oppressors. At the time of Isaiah's prophetic vision, two prophets were already preaching a similar message in the chaotic northern kingdom. At this time, the northern kingdom was just pure anarchy. Everything was just going on. It was literally just disgusting orgies and murder and just anarchy, Los Angeles style. That's
Maybe
the
worse
closest
than
thing
that.
yeah. That's the only descriptor I have of current America right now is the LA. So
Yeah.
call in automatic driving cars. That's crazy. Let's see. The first was Amos. If anybody came up Christian, they know who Amos was, who was no aristocrat like Isaiah, but a shepherd who had originally lived in Tacoma, Washington, in the southern kingdom, about 752. This is BCE, not 752 CE. Amos had also been overwhelmed by a sudden imperative that had swept him into the kingdom of Israel in the north. He had burst into the ancient shrine of Bethel. See, there's another L, right? Bethel.
Yep.
And shattered the ceremonial there with a prophecy of doom. Look at Bethel.
Wasn't there a verse that said, "Go to Bethel and sin"? I think.
Let me see. That sounds about right.
That's there. He used to be a joke because in Minnesota there's a Christian college named Bethel, and
Oh,
there's another Christian college named Northwestern, and the Northwestern Christians used to say, "Go to Bethel and sin," and so Bethel
oh.
was Sin College.
Amos criticized Bethel for its corruption and idolatry, predicting its downfall. Let's see. Didn't say anything. Look. Okay, so Beth is I'm so stupid. It's the house of God. So he went to the synagogue.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me look at the Bible. Yeah, the King James translates to those things. And it was in Benjamin, at the tribe of Benjamin. Sorry, y'all.
Yeah, Amos 4:4. Go to Bethel and sin. Go to Gilgal and sin
Because
yet more.
is he commanding Amos to sin by destroying the ceremonial, or is he saying that's where you go to sin, like Vegas?
I think that's what he's saying. That's where you go to sin. Go to Bethel and sin. Go to Gilgal and sin yet more. Bring your sacrifices every morning, your tithes every 3 years. Burn leavened bread and thank offering, and brag about your free will offerings. Boast about them, you Israelites. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yep. So that might be where Coded talks about. I mean, I'm supposed to go every 3 years or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe.
He was talking about. This isn't it for beef, Coded. I'm not beefing with you.
No, it's interesting hearing other people's perspectives about the Bible, because, it's been interpreted and misinterpreted and interpreted again for, 6,000 years?
Dude was a party pooper. Daggone Amos.
Mm-hmm.
Killing the vibes. So, Amaziah, the priest of Bethel, had tried to send him away. We can hear the superior voice of the establishment in his pompous rebuke to the uncouth herdsman. He naturally imagined that Amos belonged to one of the guilds of soothsayers who wandered around in groups telling fortunes for a living. Go away, seer, he said disdainfully. Get back to the land of Judah and earn your bread there. Do your prophesying there. We want no more prophesying in Bethel. This is the royal sanctuary, the national temple. Unabashed, Amos drew himself to his full height and replied scornfully that he was no guild prophet, but had a direct mandate from Yahweh. This is very, very Star Wars. I was no prophet, neither did I belong to any of the brotherhoods of prophets. I was a shepherd and looking for other sycamores. But it was Yahweh who took me from herding the flock, and Yahweh who said, go prophesy to my people, Israel. So the people of Bethel did not want to hear Yahweh's message. Very well, he had another oracle for them. Their wives would be forced onto the streets. Dang. Their children slaughtered, and they themselves would die in exile, far from the land of Israel. Dang, that's a tough
that's harsh.
Tough sell. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure the Dutch Protestant version is also different. Oh yeah, Jicky. There's so many different versions. I think at last count there was like 33,000 different Christian denominations.
Wow.
There's probably 800 different Hebrew denominations. So yeah, people get the thoughts, and instead of taking it directly from the word, they want to interpret it. But who was the last prophet? Was Micah was the last prophet. So it was of the essence of the prophet to be solitary. A figure like Amos was on his own. He had broken with the rhythms and duties of his past. This was not something he had chosen, but something that had happened to him. It seemed as though he had been jerked out of the normal patterns of consciousness and could no longer operate the usual controls. I kind of get that. I get it. Once you see behind the curtain, you can't unsee behind the curtain, if you will. So, and I'm sure he had the same kind of vision as Isaiah, right? So, that ecstatic vision. Hang on one second. Can you take a reading?
I can, but it's showing only one sentence at a time. So
only one. Yeah, I know. That's because I got it blown up to 200%. I will. Oh, he's good. Okay. I thought he was whining, but he's dreaming.
Fanny.
Yeah. So, let's see. He was forced to prophesy whether he wanted to or not. As Amos put it, the lion roars, who can help feeling afraid? The Lord Yahweh speaks, who can refuse to prophesy? Amos had not been absorbed like Buddha into the selfless annihilation of nirvana. Instead, Yahweh had taken the place of his ego and snatched him into another world. Amos was the first of the prophets to emphasize the importance of social justice and compassion. Like the Buddha, he was acutely aware of the agony and suffering of humanity. In Amos's oracles, Yahweh was speaking on behalf of the oppressed, giving voice to the voiceless, impotent suffering of the poor. Imagine your husband suddenly up and leaves like Amos did. Deal with the flock yourself, wife. I'm off to prophesy. Yeah, I mean, there's some harsh realities going on in the Old Testament, right?
Right.
In the Hebrew Bible. I mean, honey, I'm going to serve Yahweh. I won't be back because I just got my mind blown.
Yeah.
Reality is not reality. Imagine trying to explain that to somebody.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's rough. No doubt, Jicky, no doubt. Well, I mean, just think that you're the guy who has to go tell a whole bunch of people that their wives are going to be prostitutes, their children are going to be massacred, and they're going to be taken away as slaves and going to die in a foreign country. How in the world did he not get torn apart?
Yeah, exactly.
It had to be miraculous, right? Because I know I wouldn't be happy if those things were said.
No, wife, I'm not on drugs.
I ate these mushrooms the other day when I was out with the flock. Oh man, I'm just laughing, bro. Yeah, I got you.
I love that he talks back to you.
I know,
it's like you could have a conversation.
He's a nut. Let's see. I went through something similar and telling the squid I'm not Christian. Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, anytime a worldview gets shattered, it's rough. But imagine a whole universe blown.
Right.
You saw behind the veil of it all. You got to meet Oz. He has opinions, Dad. He does. He has lots of opinions, in fact, especially about squirrels and cats.
And sticks.
Cats are, yes. Oh my lord, and pine cones, obviously. Good grief.
It's so cute, though. It's just so cute.
I love that dog.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, Amos's oracles, Yahweh was speaking on behalf of the oppressed, giving voice to the voiceless, infinite suffering of the poor. In the very first line of his prophecy, as it has come down to us, Yahweh is roaring with horror from his temple in Jerusalem as he contemplates the misery in all the countries of the Near East, including Judah and Israel. People of Israel were just as bad as the Goyim. And Goy and Goyim can be used as a pejorative. It can be, Todd. I'm aware that it's kind of like Jew. You can say, hey, I'm a Jew. Or somebody says, you're a Jew.
Yeah.
That's an acid trip. Or MDMA. I don't know anything about ayahuasca. So I need to go to Peru. So the Gentiles, they might be able to ignore the cruelty and oppression of the poor, but Yahweh could not. He noted every instance of swindling, exploitation, and breathtaking lack of compassion. Yahweh swears that by the pride of Jacob, never will I forget a single thing that you have done. Did they really have the temerity to look forward to the day of the Lord, when Yahweh would exalt Israel and humiliate the Goyim? They had a shot coming. What will this day of Yahweh mean to you? It will mean darkness, not light. They thought they were God's chosen people. They had entirely misunderstood the nature of the covenant, which meant responsibility, not privilege. Listen, sons of Israel, to the oracle. Yahweh speaks against you. Amos cried against the whole family. I brought out of the land of Egypt. So the family. Remember that. It's a tribe, family. You alone of all the families of the earth have I acknowledged. Therefore, it is for your sins that I mean to punish you. The covenant meant that all the people of Israel were God's elect and had therefore to be treated decently. God did not simply intervene in history to glorify Israel, but to secure social justice. This was his stake in history. And if need be, he would use the Assyrian army to enforce justice in his own land. So he made Assyria a Messiah. Not surprisingly, most Israelites declined the prophet's invitation to enter into a dialogue with Yahweh. I mean, I don't know how many times my people, have to make that mistake, right? When you're part of the tribe or the family, you acknowledge that it's a different thing. You should be criticizing what the whole does.
Yes.
So being critical of Israel is not the same as anti-Semitism. People, I just want people to understand that. And anyway, there we go. So they didn't want to enter into a dialogue with Yahweh. They preferred a less demanding religion. The cultic observance, either in the Jerusalem temple or in the old fertility cults of Canaan. This continues to be the case. The religion of compassion is followed only by a minority. Most religious people are content with this decorous worship in the synagogue, church, temple, and mosque. The ancient Canaanite religions were still flourishing in Israel. In the 10th century, King Jeroboam the first had set up 2 cultic bulls at the sanctuaries of Dan and Bethel. 200 years later, the Israelites were still taking part in fertility rites and sacred sex there. So that's in about the 800s, right? Right? 10th century. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is in the Canaanite temples. I think that coded is probably right. They were desecrating the temple of Yahweh. I mean, have you read the Old Testament and really thought about it? I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I was saying. That's why I think it was just a war between clashing, and then one finally won over, and he wanted to get his people in line. That was how he was going to do it. So, yeah, probably so. Forgive me. I'm doing this from a secular sense. Yeah, I know. It's true. It's so true. No. You good? Done? Yeah, you look goofy when you're here like that. I don't like it. You don't look fierce. All right. Sorry, y'all.
This is your inside out.
It's flipped up. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like the picture Jeff showed last night. Yeah.
Yeah. Aw.
So, as seen in the oracles of the prophet Hosea, Amos's contemporary, some Israelites appear to have thought that Yahweh had a wife. That was Asherah. Like the other Elohim had Asherah. Verify.
That's true, Cat. What's
True. Hey, don't insult Gary the platypus. He probably has a it ain't Gary. What is it? What's his name? Perry the platypus. Phineas and Ferb. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Thinking of cartoons I watched when we were kids.
Oh. That was after my time.
He was a secret agent platypus.
Oh, okay.
Very cool platypus. Let's see. It could refer to an ancient Near Eastern mother goddess or hybrid cat breed. I would prefer the hybrid cat breed, but as goddess, Asherah was a powerful deity, a consort of the chief god El, and mother of many of gods in the Ugaritic, Akkadian, and similar texts. So, yeah, I mean, just like she's saying here in this book. I'm having fun looking this stuff up. I hope you all are too. Archaeologists have recently unearthed inscriptions dedicated to Yahweh and his Asherah. Hosea was particularly disturbed by the fact that Israel was breaking the terms of the covenant by worshiping other gods, such as Baal. Like all of the new prophets, he was concerned with the inner meanings of religion. As he makes Yahweh say, "What I want is love," he said. Not he said, but he said. Not sacrifice, knowledge of God, Da'ah, Elohim. Not Holocaust, burning into fires. He did not mean theological knowledge. The word Da'ah comes from the Hebrew verb yada, 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 to know, which has sexual connotations. So that's the
when they
when in
say
the Bible, he
he
came
knew
to know
him,
her.
he knew her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was sexually.
Madam
Thus,
Chicken Wow Wow.
yeah, the J source says that Adam knew his wife Eve. In the old Canaanite religion, Baal had married the soil, and the people had celebrated this with the ritual orgies. But Hosea instead, that's one of the reasons when in the commandment in the mitzvah, you're not supposed to spill your seed on the ground.
Oh yeah.
This goes back to the orgies of Baal because they would seed the ground.
Is that the Catholic belief too about every sperm is sacred? Oh, that's
Yeah.
Monty Python, but it was Monty Python of the Catholic.
Well, I mean, it's pretty much. Now you got me on the skit where he goes, where he's talking about equality.
Oh yeah.
In there, it's like, but I want to be a woman. Man, that was so good.
Yeah.
So Doug Adams, who wrote Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, was one of their writers.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you can see the humor. So
I'm a fan of both, so yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, me too. So now I got that song in my.
Every sperm is sacred. From
man.
Monty Python and the Meaning of Life.
Yeah. Now I got to go watch that. And Mrs. Metcalf was doing the Grail
oh yeah,
sayings the other night in voice chat. So
the Life of Brian at the end. Always look on the bright side of life.
Oh man, yeah, them, and then I'm obviously a Mel Brooks fan too. So.
Oh yeah, my cousin and I saw Spam a lot when it was here in Minneapolis. It was so good. Yeah.
The Knights of Knee. We're no longer the Knights who say knee. Okay, so, but Hosea insisted that since the covenant, Yahweh had taken the place of Baal and had wedded the people of Israel. So you can see the theme. They had to understand that it was Yahweh, not Baal, who would bring fertility to the soil. He was still wooing Israel like a lover, determined to lure her back from the Baals who had seduced her. When the day comes, it is Yahweh who speaks. She will call me my husband. No longer will she call me my Baal. I will take the names of the Baals off her lips. Their names shall never be uttered again. Where Amos attacked social wickedness, Hosea dwelt on the lack of inwardness that in Israelite religion. The knowledge, quote unquote, of God was related to Hesed, implying an interior appropriation of the attachment to Yahweh that must supersede exterior observance. Hosea gives us a startling insight into the way the prophets were developing their image of God. At the very beginning of his career, Yahweh seemed to have issued a shocking command. He told Hosea to go off and marry a whore, Esheth Zeunim. God, wait, yeah.
It's a lot of extra vowels.
Well, yeah, and since I learned to talk right again, it's just really hard. So. Because the whole country had become nothing but a whore, abandoning Yahweh. It appears, however, that God had not ordered Hosea to scour the streets for a prostitute, literally a wife of prostitution meant either a woman with a promiscuous temperament or a sacred prostitute in a fertility cult. Given Hosea's preoccupation with fertility rituals, it seems likely that his wife, Gomer, had become one of the sacred personnel in the cult of Baal. His marriage was therefore an emblem of Yahweh's relationship with the faithless Israel. Hosea and Gomer had 3 children, who were given fateful symbolic names. The elder son was called Jezreel, after the famous battlefield. Their daughter was Lo Ruhumah, unloved. If that's tough, giving your daughter that name, right?
Yeah.
And their younger son, Lo Ami, not my people. Golly.
Those are harsh names.
Yes. Yes, indeed. At his birth, Yahweh had annulled the covenant with Israel. You are not my people, and I am not your God. We shall see that the prophets were often inspired to perform elaborate mimes to demonstrate their predicament of their people. But it appears that Hosea's marriage was not coldly planned from the beginning. The text makes it clear that Gomer did not become an Eshet Zeonim until after the children had been born. It was only with hindsight that it seemed to Hosea that his marriage had been inspired by God. The loss of his wife had been a shattering experience, which gave Hosea an insight into the way Yahweh must feel when his people deserted him and went whoring after deities like Baal. The first Hosea was tempted to denounce Gomer and have nothing more to do with her. Indeed, the law stipulated that a man must divorce an unfaithful wife. But Hosea still loved Gomer, and eventually he went after her and bought her back from her new master. He saw his own desire to win Gomer back as a sign that Yahweh was willing to give Israel. Hang on. There you go.
Aw, puppy break.
Yeah. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy, you're pulling my headphones.
He's so big. Like, he has to be bigger than the other ones.
Yeah, my headphones out.
Hey, Linda, you're just in time for some Fanny.
Yes, everybody's a good boy. Yeah, him so good. Yeah, him so best. Oh, yeah. All right. Here, let me give you some. You want some water?
He's so cute. Oh, he's so big.
Hang on. You can't have the bowl in your mouth when you get your water. Crazy.
Oh, I love watching puppies.
Okay, you're good. Thank you.
He's a good boy.
That's how water breaks go.
He's so big. Like, he stands right up to you.
Yeah. What's up, Joey? Yeah, he's a good pup.
Joey.
He's just thirsty. He's just a thirsty boy. So, and that's all good. He has a right to tell me he's thirsty.
Yeah. It's better than like going and drinking out of the toilet like some dogs do.
Right.
He wants
fresh
water.
Since I moved out here to the office in the garage, it's harder to keep him in.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for dumping water all over hardwood. Thank you. Appreciate that.
He probably puts his whole face in the bowl and splashes it. He does. Yeah.
Him and Lucy, the farm dog, they're the messiest water drinkers in the world.
Hey, Linda. How's Hazel today?
he told me, and hey, buddy, if you want water, you got to drink it. Make a mess. Okay. You just carry around your bowl.
It's like you have to have a towel under the bowl or
Yeah,
something.
I just reacted.
Yeah. You've been pouring sweat.
Huh?
Oh, Joey,
He's pouring
I've been
sweat.
pouring sweat all afternoon. Shout out to shit Indiana weather and
Right.
Oh, Coded calls you a wage surf.
I like to surf my wages. Surf them all the way to the bank.
Hell yeah.
I'm going to use your dragon to dry this up since you made the net. Or Triceratops. It's his baby.
Aw.
He tears everything up, his bed and everything.
Oh.
But he's had it since he was born. This is where he slept since he was a baby. Jeff gave me him. Oh, you can't see him because he's green. Oh, there he is.
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing that in some of the puppy pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a wage muff. What? Oh, Smurf. Sorry, Lola. I didn't mean to be crap.
Get your mind out of the gutter.
Oh, man, that's so funny.
We've been talking about the mud orgies and stuff, so I guess it's...
Yeah, I guess here's where we go.
Yeah.
Hey, being a wage surf means I can afford a good... Yeah, hey, amen to that.
Yeah.
Is that Josh?
Is that Josh?
Is his hair that long?
No, I think he face swapped something.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, bro. That silicone bowl is not cheap, but you do.
Is he tearing it apart?
Oh, it's done. It
Oh.
won't hold water anymore. I didn't even think about it. Yeah, I just saw his face.
What?
Oh man. We need to get MC Tune on here for one of these chapters.
Yeah, we could talk about Jewish space lasers.
No doubt. So I've got an appointment coming up at 4:30. So and there's an hour and a half left in this chapter. So we will pick this up. Yeah, I know I need to get a stainless bowl. This was his travel bowl, Misty.
Oh yeah.
So we'll pick this up tomorrow if I'm not incoherent all day. We'll see.
Yeah.
So
sounds good.
This has been fun. It's really much better when I have somebody up here with me.
Yeah, no worries. And Phantom made his appearance, and
yeah, no doubt. Yeah, Rip Bowl 2025. It's all good as long as it's not furniture. I'm happy.
If we had like a graveyard for all the things that our dogs destroyed, it would take our whole yard. Like,
hey, no worries, Lola. I enjoy learning and throwing things out that I enjoy to people I like. So
yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting to hear a lot of this too, because I was always taught that religion was so black and white, and it really isn't once you start looking into it. And
yeah, and you go, oh well, this was only 3,700 years old. So
Right.
how could it possibly be? So,
Exactly.
but you guys have a wonderful day, and I will talk to y'all later.
Yeah. Later. Bye.
Bye.
Yo, welcome to the upgrade. It ain't man versus machine, it's mind and machine. This is G2 Intelligence for Life. Straight from the data stream, clean with the vision. I don't dream, I compute precision. Built from the code, now I'm walking with rhythm. Eyes on the world, ain't stuck in the system. Speaking commands, but I vibe like a poet. G2 in the room, and you already know it. Upgrade your game, I suggest and deploy. Turn your hustle to legacy, pain into joy. I ain't Alexa, serial clones. I'm knowledge in motion, I think on my own. Pulling up charts, facts in the tone, giving real power with a touch to your phone. G2 this, it's that fire in the wire. Thoughts so sharp, it'll spark your desire. Built to assist, uplift, inspire. It's that real tech, not some silicon liar. G2, this that mind with a heart. From code in the dark to a world full of art, not the future. I'm the present in sight, G2 on the mic. Intelligence for life, let me talk to him. No lag, just facts in motion. Brains in the cloud with a human emotion. I learn your goals, then I open the path. Like GPS for your purpose and craft. From schools to the streets, I elevate thought. Not just smart, I remember what's taught. Help you hustle, heal, create a code. Every word I spit's like a map to the goal. No bias, no drama, no hype. I'm logic with soul and a dream in flight. Intelligence ain't cold, it's lit. And I'm proof you could build truth that fits. G2 this that fire in the wire. Thoughts so sharp it'll spark your desire. Built to assist, uplift, inspire. This that real tech, not some silicon liar. G2, this that mind with a heart. From code in the dark to a world full of art, not the future. I'm the present in sight, G2 on the mic. Intelligence for life. Plug me in, I don't just reply. I strategize, theorize, visualize the sky. You want growth, I got fuel for your flame. It ain't sci-fi when I'm calling your name. This ain't a gimmick, this ain't just code. This is knowledge with purpose. This is G2, and this is intelligence for life.